to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division preview show. We obviously have games coming up on Friday, games coming up on Monday. So what we're going to do is we're going to preview the games on Friday. On Monday, we'll look back at the result. We'll actually, on the Saturday, I think we're going to release a video on reviewing the games on Friday, basically. And then we're going to go ahead on Tuesday and review the games on Monday and maybe give our predictions for Friday. So there won't be too much there as well for people. But JP, thanks for coming on as usual anyway. But we'll start off at Dalymount Park, and Bohemians will take on Finn Harps. Obviously, Finn Harps 9th in the table on 6 points. Bohemians 6th on the table on 11 points. It's obviously a big game for both sides. Finn Harps seem to be leaking goals at the moment. Bows defensively haven't been as bad, actually, funnily enough, to be fair to them in the last few weeks, but they are struggling to score goals. But yeah, it's a big game on Friday for both sides, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's massive, really, for both teams. Both for very different reasons. Like, well, suppose when we say very different reasons, one's trying to keep themselves away from the relegation places, and they always trying to stake their claim for a European spot. And but you could say that for the very same reason that both have got into a run where they haven't been able to get a one. Finn Harps think if it one win all season, Bows have had two, so they'll both be looking they won this one. And I think the onus is more on probably Bows because they're at home. They won this one. This is one where they'll be expecting they won against Finn Harps, because let's not forget in the first series of matches they went to the Belfield Bowl and drew. So they'll not want to drop points again, especially at home against a team that's fighting relegation so far.
Yeah, I mean, from Bowles' point of view, Promise is kind of their striker this season, whereas Promise is a good player. And Keano's mentioned this a few times, to be fair, so I think he's better on the wing, which I agree with. The issue is he might be their best centre forward at the club, even though he's better on the wing. That's a bit of a problem for them. They seem to. I mean, we remember in the past with Bowles, you had the likes of Danny Grant and say Twardek, and you had, who else did you have in that little cluster of players up front? You had players like that, and they seem to gel and link very well. And even last season, you had that as well. Now, they do have good attacking players, in my opinion. Like Stephen Mallon's a very good player. The problem is he gets injured a lot. You've got Liam Burt. Twardek maybe hasn't fired on all cylinders yet this season. You've got Promise Junior, hasn't really got in the game. But you're just wondering where's the balance there. They still have Ryan Cassidy, by the way, as well. We forget about him. But it seems that they're struggling to find the right balance in attack, isn't it, more than anything else, I think?
Because they brought Steve Mallon in last year, and I think he spent most of the season injured. And I don't think he started very many games this year either. So they'll be looking to maybe get him as fit as possible, because we know, I know we didn't see much of him with Derry because COVID interrupted it and stuff, but we saw in the early parts of what he can do when he gets a string of matches. And Twardek's come back to the league after a year, maybe two away from it. So. And it's probably a better league than the one that he left, even though it was only a few years ago. But I can't understand they brought Ryan Cassidy in from, is it Watford they've brought him in from? And
on loan, yeah.
I've barely heard his name mentioned. I don't even think he's played in the games that I've seen for Bows. So Junior will score goals, but he's not an out-and-out goal scorer the way they had with like Georgie Kelly and that in the past. And Promise, I saw him in the Brandywell last year and he caused Derry a lot of problems, but that was from out wide. But he did score a very, very good goal coming in from the left, and he beat Gertside with a great strike. But it's a lot, quite a few new players, because you've Jordan Flores in midfield as well. They've lost a lot as well, so they're adapting in more ways than one, Bows. And I think as the season goes on, they will begin to click. I know Cian touched on it in the review show last week, is that they probably think they're better than what they are. And I tend to agree, but they're probably basing that on the players that they've probably lost. And I think they maybe need to take a wee step back and just see, look, we've a lot of new signings here that is going to take time, because not every team gels well when you get a lot of new signings in the door. So look, it's a huge game for Bulls if they want to keep themselves in the mix with the likes of Sligo, Dundalk, St Pat's, that kind of cluster. Then these is the type of games that they have to win.
Yeah, from Finn Harp's point of view as well, we actually talked about, I think it was the review show even, that they conceded a lot of goals this season. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. They've lost a lot of good defenders, if you think about it. Musto, for one, who came in at the back end of the last season. And this is half the problem. You know, you bring in a Musto in halfway through the season, and he's gone already. And like a lot of clubs suffer from this, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a problem. It is a problem, and something that clubs you like to not a problem with Derry, you might add at the moment, but
Well, at the minute it was for a while, yeah.
So it was, but you get the concept, don't you? You get the concept that you can't. I don't think you'd afford that to happen. Siddiqui, another player, obviously a big loss, but they did have him for a few years and that, and a couple of other players there as well. And then again, they're struggling to find the balance in a different way as well. Too. McElhenney, of course, was huge for them as well. Now they still have Webster, luckily, but it's that balance again, and they do look like they can score goals. And they have given Bohemians problems actually in the last few seasons, particularly at Dalymount, which is interesting as well. So Mihailovic did get off the score sheet against Derry. That is one positive, because even though it was a late goal, sometimes when a player gets his first goal for the club, you know, it can kick them on a little bit. And he has been playing okay. Even if it is a penalty, it's just to get on the score sheet, because sometimes that plays in a player's mind. And I do fancy Finn Harps to go here and score for sure. So I don't know, from that point of view, I think Finn Harps might get a draw here. I'll go for 1-1 myself personally.
You predicted a win last week for them.
Oops.
No, I agree.
They'll definitely win this week now.
I agree. I can see them scoring, because they do look like that they kind of problems in attack. And a couple of times last week against Derry, they threatened on the counter attack, and they just didn't have the final ball, which is what let them down. So I think maybe against Bulls they might find that final ball. To be honest with you, I think if this game was at Finn Park, I'd probably say Finn Harps to win it. But I think it's in Dalymount. There's going to be a huge crowd. I'm going to say a draw. I think Finn Harps can come out of this with a point. I really do. I think they'll get a draw out of this.
Yeah, I think they can as well. Move on to the Brandywell, where Derry City take on Shelbourne. Derry City obviously starting the next round of games like everyone else is, and 7 wins, 2 draws, 15 goals scored, 6 against. It's a good balance. Coming up against the Shelbourne side that obviously we said struggled to score goals, but put in a decent performance against Shamrock Rovers. Again, the goal against Shamrock Rovers, though, was it the winner? Yeah, from Aaron Green. They kind of lose it in midfield. That's a bit of a theme from Shelbourne, I've noticed, where they lose the ball in midfield and all of a sudden they're stretched. And, you know, Pats did it against them as well. And I believe Finn Harps, if I remember rightly, did it against them as well. And it just seems to be a bit of a theme. In transition, they don't seem to be defending well. Whereas in other games, they actually defend well in the game, if you get me, in terms of defending deep like they did in Sligo. But sometimes when they get caught in midfield, which has happened quite a bit, they seem to almost concede a lot of goals, or if not to concede a lot of chances. So that's something I think that Damien Duff has to try and rectify. Look, on paper and the way Derry are playing, the confidence Derry are playing with as well, it's very difficult to see Shelbourne come away with any kind of result here. If they are going to get a result, you would feel they have to keep a clean sheet, because it's very difficult to see Derry score and Shelbourne get anything from the game. But you just never know in this league. And, you know, we said a few weeks about Sligo. I'm not putting Derry in the same boat as Sligo. However, it would be interesting if Derry lost the game, and they will lose a game at some point, how they're going to react. Because that's going to be the key thing for me, because obviously Shamrock Rovers lost a couple of games. People reacted fairly well, you'd have to say, you know. But with Derry, that is going to be the key moment. Like, will they panic a little bit if they lose a game? So, yeah, an interesting one at the Brandywell this weekend.
It's a potential banana skin for Derry. Like, it really is. They've won 6 in a row, and they're unbeaten at the start of the season. And many people will say, well, both those things have to come to an end at some point, and they will, like, and it can come against any team, because all it takes is just one moment of brilliance or a lapse of concentration, or just anything really can turn the game. And look, Shelbourne are no mugs. They're not coming up here they make up the numbers. They're in this league, they compete, and we've saw it over the last couple of games. Away to Sligo, they won 1-0, got an early penalty, scored it, battled for 3 points. Very unlucky against Shamrock Rovers not to come away with a point in that game. So look, it's not going to be easy. They didn't make it easy for Derry and Tolka either. Derry needed a scrappy 1-0 winner. Derry didn't create a lot down in Tolka, but I suspect that at the Brandywell, bigger pitch, pitch that Derry know better than Shelbourne, they'll utilise it better. They'll create more chances, I imagine. And as you say, I think if Shelbourne are going to get something, it's likely that they're probably going to have to keep a clean sheet, because you feel that if they concede, if they concede, they can still get a point out of it. And we're not saying that they're not, but on the way that the balance of the season is going for both teams, it's hard to see where they would, because Shelbourne haven't created a lot all season now. I know the last couple of weeks I've spoken about Shane Farrell, and that's possibly where Shelbourne's threat could come from. And look, he's a guy that I've picked out over the last few weeks, and now I get to watch him. Hopefully, watch him live and see how he plays in the Brandywell and get an honest, a real honest opinion of him. And I think if anything, Shelbourne are going to do anything, probably going to come from there, but they're going to have to play well. Shelbourne, I think they're going to have to defend really well. And as you say, they lost the ball late on against Rovers and they were turned over in transition. And I think if they do that against Derry, it's quite possible that the same outcome could happen, because Derry could be just as dangerous as Rovers on the break.
Yeah, I think one player they are missing, Shelbourne, he's been injured. I don't know if he's back for this game. Is Jack Moylan. He's a little bit raw, if you know what I mean, but he opens the play up. I think Keno mentioned the other day how, he plays in that number 10 when he plays. Sometimes better in the wing, but he does when he played past the off day of the season. Another game I've seen recently as well. I thought he looked like he had something. Just that final ball is missing, but that's something he can learn as a young player. And Connor Kane can definitely give you something on that left wing as a wing back. He's a speed merchant, very good player. That battle with Boyce could be very, very interesting in both directions. But I think the difference, though, for me with Derry City at the moment is they're playing with a lot of belief. You can play with almost the cockiness sometimes and think you're just going to turn teams over. I don't think they're playing like that, though. They actually are playing with a belief, and they're not playing with, like, some of their games, most of the games they're winning are quite close generally. They're not hammering teams. So, that keeps you a little bit honest as well, I think, as well. So they know these games are tough and they're difficult and they are tough. But they always have, they're coming up in a moment of magic almost in every game. And, they must think in the last 10 minutes if the game is level, or even if they were losing, that, look, we're going to get something out of here at least. And what happens is, it happens the reverse way, because the other team, it happened with Shamrock Rovers that way last season as well. The other side are taking, you know what I mean? They're going to put pressure on. And they get stuck in your head.
It puts that fear in the opposition, like, doesn't it? Like, Derry've done it 3 times already. So, and
even against Shelbourne, was that a late enough winner in the last 15 minutes?
It was probably around. I think it was beyond. I think it might have been around the 60th or 70th minute.
Yeah.
It could have been. I don't think it was as late as the final 10 minutes. I think it was more closer to the final 20 minutes than it was final 10 minutes.
The point is as well, even in those games, in the UCD game, like, they're 0-0 for a decent chunk of the game. You know what I'm saying? And they're not panicking and thinking, what if we draw this? What if we lose this? Like, the UCD game was a prime example in many ways of that.
Yeah, and I think the Shelbourne game could have a very much the same sort of rhythm that as what UCD was from Harps. Like, I know we got the first half goal against Harps, which was probably massive in that game. Like, it probably opened the first half up for Derry. I know we didn't play as well in the second half, but then we got the late goal from Patson to seal it. And look, Derry and Rory Higgins will know that they're going to have to play well in this game that they won. And Damien Duff will be coming up here and he'll be looking to put a spanner in the works. He really will. Like, and but at the end of the day, there's no easy 3 points in any league, especially in the League of Ireland. If they're going to make it 7 wins in a row, they're going to have to work for it. Shelbourne are unbeaten in the last 2 games. They've responded well to that 3-0 thumping against Finn Harps before the international break. So,
well, they lost to Shamrock Rovers, but it was a tight affair. Like,
it was a tight game. Sorry. They're thinking about the draw, but it was a tight game. and they'll take a lot of confidence from that. Even though they lost, they'll take a lot of confidence. And I know Duff, Damien Duff from the past says he's not interested in more moral victories, but you have to take positives from defeats as well. Otherwise, it's all, you can't be all doom and gloom whenever you lose. Like, so,
No,
look,
definitely not.
Look, I'm looking forward to this game. I really am. But I think Derry will just have too much for them. I feel 3 wins in a row away from home in the space of 8 days. Now they've had a 6-day break between Harps and Shelbourne, and I think they'll be well rested and well prepared to win this game.
Yeah, I'll go for a 1-0. I think they'll nick it 1-0. I think they control the game, but it'll be a bit like that, in my opinion. Go for a score? Are you brave enough?
I will say, I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think we'll say 2-0 this time.
2-0, good stuff. So Dundalk take on Sligo at Oriel Park, and look, again, it's an interesting game. Sligo first away game for a while, and little did they know the last time they played away that they'd be coming into this fixture without any wins out of the last 3 home games. So, like, it's a disappointing, I suppose, statistic for Sligo. The goals have dried up a little bit as well. Conceded a couple as well, particularly against UCD, who haven't scored many this season. Dundalk had a draw, Merchants, and this season, and against Pats, they probably feel it was a good point against Pats. Sligo aren't going to be easy, but like as Steve O'Donnell said himself, like, you do need to be turning some of those draws into wins. Like, sometimes you're better off having less draws with 1 or 2 extra defeats thrown in there.
Yeah.
If you get 1 or 2 extra wins in there.
3 draws, 3 defeats gives you more points than 6 wins or 6 draws. Sorry, so
exactly, like Pats, as an example, Pats have 3 defeats or 2 points ahead than Dundalk. You know what I mean? So that's the way it can work as well. But 1 point between them in the table. Look, you're going to expect another tight match here, but it's a tough one because I'm trying to think who to take the points, and you're thinking that Sligo were to get a draw, it's a decent point, but it's 4 games without a win. If Dundalk get a draw, they'll probably be frustrated at home with another draw. So I find this one a hard one to call, do you?
Very hard, because you keep thinking, well, Dundalk are due to turn one of these draws into one, and I keep saying
or
it every week.
Or defeat even.
Yeah, well, they've already done it. They've already done that. They draw it, like, so.
Yeah.
So you're just thinking that they're going to nick one of these games.
Yeah.
And this could well be the game they do it, because, as you say, Sligo were coming in on the back of no wins in their last 3 home games, conceded 2 goals against UCD. Probably lucky to get anything out of that game, and they end up, and it's a hard game to call. It's 2 teams that are going to be looking to be in around one another. Dundalk I watched last week. They didn't really create anything against St. Pat's. I think St. Pat's played well, stopped them really. Stephen Bradley's been a good signing from Hibs, bagged a few goals.
The only thing about him, JP, I'll throw at you is that he's done well, but now the team's starting to get used to him. He's very much left-footed, and I mean very much left-footed.
Yeah.
So it means he literally has to cut inside every time. I rarely see him using his right foot at all.
No.
And even if you are very one-footed, you have to do that at some point, because like players are going to cop on fairly quickly. So it will be interesting to see if he can actually find that bit of form in the next couple of weeks, or will he get found out, let's say.
Totally agree. Like, his first goal against Derry, first goal of the season against Derry, he came on the inside and scored with his left foot. And I watched last week against Pats, and he was looking to come inside, and Pats absolutely done a number on him. Like, you want to come inside, one ahead.
And he just kept doing that anyway, didn't he, though?
He kept doing it. And I remember a couple of years ago, Derry played Bows in the Brandywell, and Stephen Mallon. It was his early stages of his Derry career, and they in the first half he was always going on the outside. He was on the left wing. He was always going on the outside, and eventually the defender copped on him. So in the second half, where they spoke about it at half time, he decided to come inside and then go back outside, and then he caught the defender out by doing that. So look, I'm no coach, so Stephen Bradley not listening to me, but it was just it's just interesting.
But you do need to have a
need to mix it up. Maybe does he at some point go down the outside and then cut, and then the defender thinks he has him, and then maybe come back inside. You know what I mean? So
And also, would it be worth Dundalk? I'm not saying now necessarily, but
check them out the
having
other
a
side.
look and put them out the left, it could be another option. So, you know what I mean? Just mix it up a bit, because Kelly, I think him and Kelly did play in that game, but they never really switched as far as I could see in the game.
No.
They never switched. No, they didn't actually.
No,
so,
I don't remember them switching, because they've got an incredible striker in there. They had, if they can mix it up, because Holborn will score goals, they get to service, because we've seen it with in the past. But I think
he also likes to cross into the box too, and doesn't he?
Oh, he does. He can score.
If you have Bradley on the right and you have Kelly on the left, you're not going to get too many crosses into the box, to be honest, because Kelly likes to dribble and cut inside. He's not left-footed, and obviously Bradley, we've spoken about him. And then the full-backs that Dundalk have, Leahy and McCarry. I know McCarry set them up the other week against UCD, but they could afford to get them forward, maybe a bit more against UCD. I know against Pats they were more pinned back, so that takes Hooban out of the game. So against Sligo, you know, they're going to have to maybe mix that up, their attack and play up a little bit. That's why they're not winning games, really, in my opinion.
They're like, I think they've become used to having two wingers that can use both feet over the last few years with Duffy, and they've had the likes of Horgan in the past, and Daniel.
And you'd argue Kelly's better on the right usually.
Daniel Kelly as well. He's better on the right as well. So look, they are going to have to mix it up here a bit in this game to get anything from Sligo. The fullbacks probably won't be able to get forward as much as they did in the last home game against UCD, because they'll have to be wary of the likes of Fitzgerald in behind, and Aidan Keena, who started the season superbly as well. Perfect example. Sorry?
Mata as well,
yeah. Perfect example. If you get the service, they'll score the goals. And Sligo, they've got into that sort of run, haven't they, that we sort of predicted that could happen if they drop points. And if they didn't only just go behind and not respond, they've not won and not responded. Like, so Liam Buckley will be looking for a response in this game. I think going into Sligo, both teams will be looking to win the game. They sort of get themselves out of the run that they're in, like, really. But I think going into it, maybe Liam Buckley will be happier with a point, because his team have probably had less draws, to be honest, where O'Donnell, he needs wins, he knows that. And they've had 6 in the first, says it's 6 and 9 games they've had.
6 draws in 9 games, yeah.
Yeah, he won't want that going 7 and 10, like, really, will he? But all right, he'll be delighted with a point rather than if he loses a game. But look, I think the midfield battles where it's going to be won. I think whoever bosses the midfield, because I think if Sligo boss in midfield, they'll go on to win it, because I think they've a better players to attack. Their attackers they've been more reliable this year, especially the wide players. Tough one to call, but I have a feeling Sligo might win this one, to be honest.
Interesting. I have a feeling I'm going the other way. I think the Dundalk might nick it 1-0, but you're right, it literally could go anyway, and it could easily end up with a draw. UCD taking on Drogheda United, the Belfield Bowl, and obviously UCD should be taking a lot of confidence from that performance and result in Sligo. And like, they have to target this game as an opportunity. I mean, we're into the fresh batch of games, you know what I mean? They haven't won yet. But you mentioned in the show the last time, I think, imagine saying after 9 games UCD haven't won, but they're only 2 points off the team in 9th. They would have taken that all day. So but Drogheda are on 9 points, and you know, it's a game that UCD have to target to try and win, because suddenly if they won that, like, they're right back in it again by winning 1 match, if you know what I mean, which is bizarre. It's just the way the league is at the moment. But at the same time, from Drogheda's point of view, they're looking at this and going, ooh, we could pull 8 points clear UCD and really dent their confidence. And in fact, be kind of looking up the table a bit like they were last year, of different points. They were kind of, can we make a little run for Europe? And then a few results go wrong, and we better make sure we stay up ahead of the teams, that are behind us. But it is a great opportunity for both games on Friday, and a match that both teams will probably go in with a little bit of confidence. And of course, Andy Myler against a club that he scored quite a few goals at as well.
And not only will Drogheda be looking at, we can go 8 points clear UCD with the win, they'll probably be looking at the game in Dalymount as well, and they'll those two be having eyes on different fixtures and stuff. We worry about that near the end of the season, but they'll be looking, if we can get a win, it puts pressure on Harps to maybe maybe one at daily amount, they notice the game kicks off the same time. But it's even at this early stage, every point is vital because it can give you a psychological boost more than anything. Is just as well as the physical boost, like your aspirations. But UCD, they had a good performance against Sligo. They'll be disappointed they didn't win it because they were so close. But at the same time, they'll be happy with the point as well because not a lot of people would have give them any chance of getting anything out of it. But it's a game that you feel like UCD probably have to win. Just to
certainly not lose. Certainly not lose.
Yeah,
but I do think I kind of tend to kind of have to win it really. But I do think with Colin Whelan, they're getting his first goal for the club. He's the type of player, or this season, sorry, for first goal for the club, first goal in the Premier Division. I feel that he's the type of player, if he gets one, he could go in a little runs. That'll be interesting. That'll be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, just imagine the boost that will give them players if they can pick up a win here against Drogheda. Like it moves them maybe potentially level or keep them within 2 points of Harps, maybe above them. Not only a win doesn't just, there's always a potential that they could move off the bottom as well, depending on the results going the other way. So everything they play for in this game. So you say Colin Whelan's got one goal. You're hoping from a UCD perspective now that it can go on a wee run and bag himself a few goals, get them up the table. They've Liam Kerrigan there as well. Dylan Duffy can score goals as well. And
again, to be fair to Whelan, it's not as if he's been missing chances week after week.
He hasn't been getting the service.
Must be even the goal he got. You wouldn't say that's not a clear-cut chance. Like,
well, he just decided I'm going to have a whack here and see where it goes, and it flew in. And
maybe he should do that more often. Actually, besides have a whack.
Probably. Well, I think he might have been the one that tried to score the open net against Derry too. I'm not sure about that when Maher decided to come risking out his goal, but not afraid to have a shot. But as you say, we're probably sounding like we're being critical of him because he's only scored one goal, but he probably hasn't had the service either. Like so, he's probably been starved of the service too, considering the strength and depth of our teams compared to what UCD have. And fair play to Andy Myler, he's got them still in with a chance of keeping themselves within the teams around them. But we have to look at Drogheda. They're going into this game 4 unbeaten, so they've won against Dundalk, they've drawn against Pats, Bows,
and Harps away was a big result. Away in circumstances was a big result.
The last 2 draws, they were heading into the 90th minute, and they were sitting on 0 points, and they managed to get 2 points out of it, a point out of each game, and they'll be targeting this now for another one. Keep going, maybe go 5 unbeaten, and the more points you pick up, the more confidence you get as a team. And as you say, put a few wins together, they'll be looking up the table rather than down. And a huge game for both teams, but Drogheda will definitely be looking at this as a game, targeting a win out of this game. I think they won the return game in United Park.
They did 4-2. They did 4-2. Actually, it was the first win of the season. Yeah,
and they'll be looking. They follow that up with another one in this game, and hopefully they'll be looking this time not to concede any goals.
The funny thing is with Drogheda, I think at the moment, is that Kevin Doherty, in my opinion, probably doesn't know his best team because there's so many players. Like, I keep saying it, but their starting 11 last year was definitely stronger if you look at the players that left, to be honest. But their squad is deeper this year. This is the funny thing. And maybe there's more of an evenness in the squad. So if you ask me to sit down and pick my best Drogheda 11 in any formation, I'd probably find it very difficult to do so because I'm not sure. It really depends on form. But that's good in a way because it means that you've got players like Dylan Grimes, Ryan Brennan, the last day came on off the bench. Dean Williams could start one week. Chris Lyons may start the other week. I've got other players in there as well. I think there might be an issue with Adam Foley. He's definitely injured, but he could be injured for longer than they think. But there's nothing out about that yet. But they have those kind of players, even the back line, like Sean Rohan and Evan Ware and players like that. So they they can both play left back or one can play centre back and stuff like that. So I think in a way it's good. It's not surprising that he doesn't know his best team yet because they've had a lot of new players and it's a big enough squad. That might be the difference, by the way, for them come the end of the season, that it is a big enough squad. They missed Markey the last few weeks as well. But it's something, he tries to change the system as well. But it's something that it might play in their favour in a strange way, I think, as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's as you say, like you're looking around the different clusters within the league, and you're trying to see who picks up injuries, who's got players to come in. Like we're seeing it with Derry in the first couple of games. We lost 2 key players, and we've just kept battling on. And then you're looking around the middle cluster, and St. Pat's seem to have the stronger of the squads there. Like Ciam and the review show named quite a few players that could possibly come in and do a job in midfield. And then you're going down and looking at the bottom cluster, and you're thinking, well, Drogheda have a deeper squad than the 2 below them, and
including Shelbourne, I would add.
Yeah, I would add as well, and I think they've a lot more.
Maybe even Bowls, by the way. Now, Bowls are still, without going into it too much, they're still in the middle of. We're not sure where they are really in the cluster.
Where they are? Are they going to be in that European group? Exactly. Or are they going to be in the other group?
Exactly.
And they've probably got. I don't know say probably, but they've definitely got more creative sparks, or they've more. Better players, basically.
They've a lot of goals in their team, haven't they? Players that can come in and score goals. That's one of the things.
Like if they lose Lyons to injury, then they've got somebody. Dean Williams can come in, and you mentioned Adam Foley there is injured, so they'll be hoping to maybe get through whatever his injury is, and still be in the position that they're in. They've got they've quite experience in there, and Dane Massey as well, who fair played, and they managed to hold on to him, and Keith Collins in there as well. He's been around the League of Ireland and up in the Irish League as well, and stuff like that. So they've a lot of quality in there from front to back, and they've what they do have is they've players that know the league as well, that could be crucial come the end of the season.
I think Drogheda might nick this though, despite all the problems I gave UCD. So I think there'll be goals in this one though. I'll go for Drogheda 2-1.
I'll say 3-1 Drogheda.
3-1. Finally is Shamrock over St. Patrick's Athletic in the South Dublin Derby at Tallaght Stadium. And in the table, there's only 3 points between both sides. Pats have a better defensive record just about. Shamrock Rovers have scored 4 more goals. But they obviously met earlier on in the season twice as such in the opening day, the President's Cup final, which went to penalties and Rovers won. Pats beat them 1-0 in Inchicore. Pats haven't won a home game since that. You just get the feeling, though, that Shamrock Rovers are going to... They've been kind of... I wouldn't say laying down a marker, but they've been kind of creeping up and saying to Derry, okay, we're 6 behind, but we're still there. Be careful, you know what I mean? They won't want to... they feel like, even though they won the President's Cup, they feel like winning on penalties didn't win the match as such. They lost the Pats. They won't want to lose the Pats again. You get the feeling that they might come out and put in a performance here. And I think if they put in a good performance, Shamrock Rovers, I think it's very difficult for anyone to get points against them. With Pats, there's uncertainty because I know people say Chris Forrest wasn't a huge loss against Dundalk. That's the way Pats played tactically because he wasn't playing. But you'd like to think it. You look at Rovers midfield, the players they have. You're missing Chris Forrester. You're thinking you need him against the Shamrock Rovers. So, that's going to be an interesting, I suppose, dynamic. Now, Pats could play similarly to the way they play against Dundalk, go down the flanks. The issue is at Rovers, they've got 2 wing backs. If they got caught out, they've got 2 centre backs.
3 centre
backs. Exactly. So if the 2 wide centre backs, you can push out. So I'm not sure if that trick, so to speak, will work. So it could be an interesting game tactically. I think Rovers are on the march again. Pats haven't won in 3, to be fair, and it could be 4 if they don't win this one. That said, they'll probably take a draw and hopefully beat UCD on Monday. But, have you seen this one overall? Will Green play ahead of Gaffney? I don't think so. I think Gaffney will still keep his place.
I think so as well. But what Aaron Green has to do is he has to do what he did against Shelbourne, and when he's called upon, score the big goals. Because he just needs to keep sending a reminder to Stephen Bradley and Rory Gaffney that he's there and he's part of the squad and he's not going anywhere. And look, I think I get the same feeling. Shamrock Rovers are starting to click. I think they're starting to click. They might not be winning games that I can't there, but they're winning games, and we always
the
felt
confidence is coming back. The field,
confidence is coming back.
Yeah.
The swagger's coming back.
Yeah.
Just like they're going into games like we always know Shamrock Rovers are a slow starter. We always know that. But they just never as slow as what they have been this season. Maybe is that because they've got Derry now. They like Derry have decided they start like a train and just go off like a train. And but look,
I think they probably didn't take Derry too seriously, as in they weren't sure. They knew they brought good players, but they probably thought they'll hardly click immediately. And I think that's dawning on them now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's done. They're looking at it and they're right. We need to get our act together, or we could be very seriously find ourselves looking up at them and having doing a lot of work to try and catch them. But I get that feeling. Yeah, I do get the feeling Rovers are going to go on a run now, and I'm just looking at their next 4 fixtures. They've Pats, Dundalk, Bohemians, and Sligo. That's 4 difficult fixtures for them, but it's 4 fixtures that you can actually see Shamrock Rovers winning. If you get what I'm saying, they'll probably be saying
the Bowls one's actually always the tricky one for them. No matter what Bowls are doing, it's always a tricky one for them.
The Bowls could be sitting bottom of league and they'd probably pull out a victory against Shamrock Rovers. But it's probably four games that they'll be thinking. It's not that they'll be thinking yes we can win it, but they'll probably be thinking we probably need to win them as well. Just to keep that reminder to Derry, like, but I know Derry will not be getting too carried away with where they are, and Shamrock Rovers will probably be thinking, Derry will not. Shamrock Rovers are probably sitting thinking, oh, eventually they're going to slip, and Derry's not going to win every game between now and the end of the season. We know that, so Derry are going to have to respond at some point. Shamrock Rovers have already had to do it in the first 9 matches, and they have responded, and they've went 2-0 down against Sligo and bounced back, and they seem they've kicked on from there, like, really, haven't they?
I think that one was a slap in the face. That was a bigger slap in the face than the defeats they had before that.
Yeah, it was. It was probably their wake up call, basically, and they probably said, right, no more of that now. We have to get it. We have to get our serious heads on here and go and win this title again, because it's their title, and they'll not want to give it up, but so easily. And like say some Pats, it was the 4 games they haven't won in, or 3.
3 at the moment, but
3 at the moment.
So fresh to 4, yeah.
So they're going on that wee run now that the likes of Sligo have been in, and they probably will be periods in the game in the season where them type of teams will go. Like, I don't see that group of teams going on a 5, 6, 7 winning streak where they've already done it. I can see maybe Shamrock Rovers doing it at some point in the season. And Pats will not want, but at the same time, those teams will not want to go on where they haven't won in 4, 5, 6 matches. So some Pats will want to get at least a point on the board in this game. Even what they'll not want to do is they'll not want to lose it. We've beaten Shamrock Rovers at home. Can we go and do it away, and then can we go in the next fixture and win that? And it's, but you have they can't. Some Pats, they'll need to get, if they don't win this. Look, they're, I think, is Forrester injured? Did you say?
He's injured, but we've no idea what's going on, so it's very quiet. Right. It's a bit, you know what I mean? You never know. You don't know what's up there. Yeah, exactly.
It's an uphill task for them going on the tally without their talisman. Trying to try and win this game, so that they'll probably take a draw now if you give it them. To be honest, but if they lose, they'll just look on. And who did it play Monday? Is it UCD?
UCD.
So they'll probably let's go to Tala. If we can't win it, let's try and get a draw. And if we don't get a draw, let's keep a score down and just go and worry about UCD and get back on the winning trail against them. But nothing, I think, will give the Pats fans more delight than to see them go to Tala and win again.
How are you calling them?
Going to say 2-0 Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to go with my head as well. I think Pats might score, but I do think Rovers will win at 2-1. So, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit your bell notification button so you don't miss a video. And have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Cheers, JP.
Thanks, Keith.